In the very beginning of its existence, there were no clocks in Odessa. There was morning, when the sun rose and the dawn began. There was daytime, when trade began in the markets and bazaars. There was evening, when the shops closed and the lanterns were lit. And there was night, a real deep night, without minutes or seconds. The first clocks appeared in Odessa at the very beginning of the 19th century. They were not only expensive, but also incomprehensible to many. It looked like magic. Inside a wooden box, something invisible lived a life of its own. It breathed evenly, ticked and chimed. The pendulum swung like a heart. The weight slowly descended, as if life itself was slipping away. Every strike was a message, a call, information. One of the earliest such mechanisms, the city clocks, were installed around 1816 on the facade of the Intercession Church, which stood there until 1934. This building was located at the intersection of Alexandrovsky Avenue and Zhukovsky Street. Its mechanism was connected to the bell tower, which at regular intervals filled the area with its melodious chimes. The morning chime of the Intercession Church was, according to the residents of the time, the signal for the start of the trading day at the bazaars. Over time, the city markets would get their own clock towers, or clocks built directly into the facades of the market buildings. The last such clock tower was destroyed in 1958. It stood on the grounds of the old bazaar. And so ended the story of both the bazaar itself and its clock tower. The next public clocks, which had more of a decorative, ornamental, rather than a purely utilitarian purpose, appeared in the year 1817, on the pediment of the first city theater. They say it was installed by personal order of Governor-General Alexandre Langeron, who checked the time by it without leaving his house. These clocks were very expensive for their time and played a cruel joke on the theater. The fire of January 2nd, 1873, which completely destroyed the magnificent building, started from a gas jet that illuminated the clock face at night. By the mid-19th century, the city already maintained about 12.5 tower clocks. A special watchmaker, with whom an annual contract was signed, monitored their proper functioning. This position was usually held by foreigners, most often Germans, who were considered recognized masters of mechanical arts. One of the first keepers of Odessa's time was Moritz Stern. He was responsible not only for checking the accuracy of the clock mechanisms, but also supervised the crew of the signal cannon, which fired a blank shot at exactly noon by the Duke Monument on Primorsky Boulevard. The position of chief watchmaker in Odessa still exists today, although its significance is far from what it once was. Foreigners, and especially Germans, have not been seen in this role for a long time. For more than 3.5 decades, the main city clock, installed on the old stock exchange building, was looked after by Odessa native Leonid Kalibin. But it is unknown who is in charge of the clock's control today. In the Soviet years, he ran the Rembetechnika watch repair shop on Shevchenko Avenue, opposite the CPSU Regional Committee building. As part of the so-called social duty, he was entrusted with servicing the city council's clock, the very one that was made in 1868 by the English company Smith & Sons on a special order from the Odessa mayor's office. The master wound the mechanism every other day, and after he had a heart attack, his wife continued his work. The clock on Damska Square loses or gains half a minute a day. But that's normal. It's typical for all mechanical clocks, explained the master watchmaker Leonid Kalibin. It's simply impossible to achieve greater accuracy from mechanical clocks, especially considering their size. If this mechanism is properly cared for, it can last for a very long time. In the old days, there was a belief: a city is alive as long as its main city clock is running. Our main clock, installed on the mayor's office building, reassures us year after year with the melody, "You are always with me, you are in my heart." From the operetta White Acacia by Isaac Dunayevsky. In their entire history, these clocks have broken down only once, in 1988. Then the teeth of the anchor wheel wore down so much that they became as thin as cigarette paper. The part had to be made anew, by ordering it from the Kirov milling machine plant. In 2014, specialists from the Kyiv watch factory carried out another restoration of the clock, replacing individual elements of the mechanism, and the hands of the clock face were also updated. These clocks, just like 100 years ago, are wound by hand every 2 days by lowering a 32-kilogram weight to the first floor of the City Duma building. The history of the chimes at the railway station is also curious. It's worth starting with the fact that their predecessors during the Civil War served as a strange and grim target for those who found themselves on different sides of the barricades. The station and the small square in front of it turned into a place of protracted battles. The artillery fired at the building at point-blank range, and the station clock was always chosen as the target. After each successive assault, only a gaping hole invariably remained in place of the large station clock. But the people of Odesa were genuinely proud of their clock, and as soon as a battle ended, the hole was successfully patched up, and a new clock face would appear again on the station's facade. But the peace did not last long. 2 or 3 months would pass, and the clock would once again attract the attention of the artillerymen. Shelling the station, they would again send a shell into this tempting target, the clock. Again, an emptiness gaped on the pediment, and again, the townspeople patiently lifted another mechanism and another clock face under the station roof. In those troubled days, quite a few clock mechanisms were replaced on the facade of the Odesa station, silent witnesses to the war, stubbornly returning to their place to once again tell the time. The antique clock in the reading room of the Odesa Gorky Library certainly deserves a separate story. It is an astronomical clock, rightfully considered one of the most curious exhibits for visitors. We are talking about a mathematically precise astronomical electric clock mechanism, created especially for this building by the mechanic Iosif Timchenko. To this day, this clock is considered the only one of its kind in Odesa. However, of no lesser value is the clock of the Odesa Count Mikhail Tolstoy, which adorns the walnut living room of the House of Scientists. It can quite rightly be considered a national treasure. No less mysterious are the wall clocks in the main hall of the new exchange, now the Odesa Philharmonic. They were created by the watchmaker Alexander Weiss. According to legend, this clock stopped during the last performance in Odesa by Vladimir Mayakovsky back in the distant year of 1924. Perhaps, since then, a part of the great poet's soul has lived on in its mechanism. The clock adorning the pediment of the Odesa Seaport Administration building also delights the ear with its music. Every hour it plays the melody from Leonid Utyosov's song Odesa Port. Odesa Port, it means, is growing. The music was personally chosen by the former head of the harbor. He also had the idea of restoring the clocks themselves. The entire internal mechanism was made by an Odesa company that creates advertising structures. All the parts of this clock mechanism are machined from solid polycarbonate, the most durable of all artificial transparent materials. It is 250 times stronger than regular glass and is also used in the production of bulletproof windows for buildings and cars. The port's main clock does not require lubrication and runs with almost no delay. In general, there are many interesting clocks in Odesa. For example, the largest ones in the city, the chimes of the Roman Catholic Cathedral of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary on Yekaterinskaya Street. Their diameter is almost 2 meters. One could talk about Odesa's clocks for a long time. Each of them has its own special story. In this episode, we've only touched upon some of the most curious pages from our city's history with clocks. So as not to tire you with one long story, we have divided this topic into 2 separate videos. And with that, we'll say goodbye. Until next time.